What's up, guys? So, we actually have some pretty big news today. Finally, something worth talking about and maybe even getting excited about. So, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna try to keep this short and to the point. Uh, there's a video that I didn't get permission to really show or anything, so I want to be respectful. I'm gonna put a link in the description to an interview with Paul Coleman and a guy from Studio 397, Marcel Offermans. So they discuss a lot of stuff that's coming in the future, in the near future, concerning NASCAR games and other, the other games in motorsports games portfolio. But you're obviously here for NASCAR games. So without further ado, let's get into some of the information. And I want to thank Josh or John Neuheisel. I'm sorry, man. Let me get this right. John Hoheisel. I'm sorry. Sent me a link to this article which I read and I'm gonna discuss right now. So let me just get into it. I'm a bit tired, so if I'm a bit rattled and stuff, it's just I've been up a long time. I worked a double yesterday and into today, so I'm pretty tired. But I didn't want to wait to at least put this out there for you guys. And as more information comes out and I learn more, I will do another video. But for now, this is pretty exciting news in my opinion. Motorsport Games to acquire Studio 397 and R Factor 2. Okay. For those of you who don't know, R Factor 2 is a very highly regarded sim racer. It's not a game, it's more of a simulator. And from what I've read in the past, I did learn a bit about R Factor 2. I've seen videos and reviews on it from the time when I was looking at uh, buying my motion simulator with the D-Box system. I wanted to see the games that they supported, and R Factor and R Factor 2 are a couple of the titles that they do support. So, out of curiosity, I wanted to learn more about this stuff and not just iRacing. And from all the information that I found and the videos I've seen and the articles I've read, R Factor 2 is regarded by many people as one of the top racing sims in the market. So it came out in, I think, 2012. So it's not new. It's been out for a while, but it has long-standing support by the studio, the game developer Studio 397. And the things that stand out most to me that people talk about in regards to R Factor 2 is the physics, the AI, the force feedback, which is something we really never get to talk much about because it's always been an afterthought in NASCAR titles. And I forgot what the other thing was, but it's really part of the mechanics of the game. It's going to come down to that gameplay, which is physics, handling, AI. That's what is going to give you the enjoyment of the actual racing. And there's really good stuff coming. I mean, from what I see right now, I really like what I'm seeing in terms of where motorsport games seems to be going. So as we move on, Studio 397 brand name to remain under Motorsports Games banner. Updates and iteration of R Factor 2 to continue under Studio 397. So even though I'm not going to show you the video, it's going to be in I'm going to leave a link to go watch it. And I do suggest to go watch it. You're going to get all the information from there. They don't reveal like a lot of big information, but a lot of the stuff they talk about, it's pretty obvious. So one of the things that Paul Coleman said was that motorsports games is not looking to come. I mean, they now own. They're gonna own Studio 397, and they're gonna own R Factor and all that stuff. So if you're a fan of that, they are not going to come in and make changes. They're not looking to come in and say, "Hey, get rid of this, change this, add this." They said, their point of view, at least from what Paul Coleman said, is these guys know what they're doing. There's a pretty strong following for this title, and we are not here to change anything. We're gonna kind of let them do what they know to. They know what they're doing, and we are here to offer support and lend help when needed. So that is a big thing to me because what you don't want to see is a developer who is just grabbing a group of people that already know what they're doing and they're saying, well, we're going to make all these changes because we want to put our stamp, of motorsports games. We're running things now and you're going to do things our way. And, it's good that they're not thinking that way. They're focused on the best possible product. At least, you know, just taking them at their word right now, and but they're saying the right things, and that's all we have to go on at the moment. So that's how I'm going to judge them for now. So let's move on from that. So that's one thing I got from the video that I it struck a chord with me. I like hearing that because these guys do have a strong reputation. The R Factor series already has a big following and it's highly regarded. So let them do what they know. They know what they're doing. Let them do their thing. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Motorsport Games, leading race game developer, publisher, and ecosystem, esports ecosystem provider of official motorsport racing series throughout the world. Announced today it's entered a binding term sheet to acquire Studio 397, the company behind the industry-leading R Factor 2 racing simulation platform. What I just said. From Luminous International, the acquisition will see Studio 397 continue its work on R Factor 2 while also developing the physics and handling models for motorsports games' forthcoming projects. So they have that British Touring Car Championship title coming, so they're going to be working on that. Uh, and that's probably in their wheelhouse because R Factor, from what I do understand, is sort of a road GT racing type of game. But that also means they're going to be working on the next NASCAR game. So that's big in my opinion. Let's just move forward for a second. Motorsports Games expects to utilize its resources and expertise to enhance the R Factor 2 offering, especially in areas highlighted by the racing community. Okay, Studio 397 and Motorsport Games have long worked in tandem with R Factor 2, providing the simulation platform for the highly successful 24 Hours of Le Mans virtual race. And this was that esports stuff that I talked about in an earlier video that I wasn't sure what that 24 Hour of Le Mans was from. And somebody did come in and tell me, yeah, that's from R Factor 2. So, I'm impressed with that. So they've already worked together, but like on the esports side of things and the online stuff. But now they're going to own this studio and everything's going to be under Motorsport Games umbrella, but they are going to let these guys continue to work on the R Factor series and these other titles that are going to be coming out. So I like what I'm hearing. Like I said, we've been working with the team at Studio 397 for a long time on both game development and esports. This is an acquisition that, when completed, makes complete sense for all parties, and we are delighted to have them agree to join Motorsports Game family, said Stephen Hood, president of Motorsport Games. Okay, Studio 397 has a clear passion for virtual racing, and together we recognize the opportunity. All right, I don't want to get, you guys can see this article on motorsport.com. I just want to hit on the main points that are important. They've also, by the way, confirmed, as I suspected, and I talked about it in an earlier video. They finally confirmed it. They are going to be using the Unity engine. So everybody can relax now. One of the best game engines in the market. That's what they're going to be using. But more importantly, there's another thing that comes up in the interview, which hopefully you guys go check it out. Uh, Studio 397, when they're talking about what they bring to the table, they do have their own in-house physics engine. So I don't really understand how that works along with the game engine. Are those things separate? Do they work together? That's above my head. But the point is that I look at the big picture, right? We got the Unity engine, which is highly regarded as one of the best game engines. The game should look impressive, right? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there's no reason the game can't really look, uh, you know, pretty solid. But the other thing is that they have their own in-house physics engine. As I said, R Factor 2 came out in 2012. They've been working at this stuff for a long time. They've been supporting that game for a long time. Uh, so they know what they're doing. And they're bringing that to, the other titles, like NASCAR. I think that's a really big deal. Um, and in terms of what motorsports games is doing, I haven't really known what to think up to this point, other than the loose promises of, yeah, we're looking to create a great experience and address a lot of the things the community wants. It's the typical boilerplate talk, but this is the first time you actually see something definitive that we can actually, make a judgment on. And in my, humble opinion, I love this bit of news that came out today because um, I trust this developer, this Studio 397. I trust them because they have a track record. And judging from the things I've read, the things I've seen, people talking about it, about that franchise, um, it is a very highly regarded simulation racing title. So that's what you want. So we now have people backed with finances, right? So we don't have to hear this stuff about small developer anymore trying to make things. These people have money. This acquisition is going to cost them $16 million. Okay, so this is they're not fucking around, and I love that. So this is the first actual bit of news that I'm impressed with. I don't want to get carried away. I know some of you guys are like, hey, we've been burned before, but all I can say is if if I was in charge, right? And I was making decisions and I had that kind of resource, this is exactly the type of move I would make. You look at a Studio 397 and what they've done with R Factor 2, with the physics, with the handling, with the AI, which is, let's not forget about that because they also program AI. This isn't like just an online title. So that's really important that you also have guys who understand programming AI. You guys know for many years I've always talked about the importance of AI. And that to me is just as important as the physics and the handling. The AI has to be competitive and race, as realistic as possible. That's going to bring a great deal to the table in terms of what's this thing going to end up being for us. So AI, physics, handling, and force feedback. Their force feedback is highly praised by their community, right? I don't have personal experience, but again, from the research I've done, people praise it. And that's something we don't really talk much about on the NASCAR side of things. And now we hopefully will have some good force feedback because all of these things add up and to give us that immersion. So that's a huge move. I fully support it. This is probably the best news you could get, right? I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, I wish Codemasters would take over or so and so would." You know what? This might be the best of all worlds because now and also in the go check out this interview because Paul Coleman of Motorsport Games, he does leak a couple of things throughout the interview without coming straight out. Well, he already confirmed these guys are going to be working on the next NASCAR game. He talked about the importance of uh, making it the most realistic experience possible, but also making it accessible to casual fans. You don't want to alienate people because, oh my God, this is a full blown simulator. This is just above my head. I agree with that. But the way they're approaching it is, and this is what I've said before, those of you who've been watching me for years, you know I've said this before. We've seen past NASCAR games where it's too easy, the AI is too easy, or it just everything is it's not challenging enough. And I've always said I'd rather see the game be too difficult and then you could tune it down. You could always detune it or put up assists or whatever to make it easier. If it's too hard for you, you can't make the game harder if it's already too easy at the highest level. So he talked a little bit about that and he says he does, he said, well, this is more or less what he said, that most people think that either you make a full-blown simulator or you have to make a arcadey, video game. And he says that he doesn't believe that you can't, find a good middle ground or at focus on making the game really competitive and realistic, but then giving casual players that ability to add assists and do other things where you can kind of pull the game back into something that they feel comfortable playing. The thing's gonna, it's gonna be playable with hand controllers and all that, and that is important. But he really sounds like, and both of them were talking, and it really sounds like they want to push forward a more realistic and competitive and immersive experience for fans. And Paul Coleman also brought up, the community's been begging for certain things like this, and that they want to make sure that they deliver on that. Now, again, he's saying the right things. All developers tell people what they want to hear. But when you combine what he's saying with what they're actually doing, and this acquisition is huge, this is a really big deal. I really don't see what they could have possibly done that somebody could say that would have been a better option. This is a better option, in my opinion, than what people wanted. Oh, maybe EA or Codemasters, and Codemasters has done a fantastic job with the Formula One franchise, especially with the last game. Kudos to them. But this is more hardcore. And these guys have been at this for a long time. I really like this direction. So I'm curious to know, Are you guys are you as excited as I am right now? Yes, it's early, but I'm not gonna. I can't pretend that this isn't pretty big fucking news. Um, I really I can't wait to see what they do. Another thing that Paul Coleman also brought up, which gives me at least a little bit more of a sense of relief. He said they've been working on the game for 2 years now. So they must have started at least part of that game even as they purchased uh, the NASCAR Heat franchise from 704, or took over, I should say. It's not like they're just now starting. So, give me a second here. All right. So that it makes me feel a little better. And also, I'm seeing more and more that these guys really are uh, pretty big in terms of finances. This is not a small company. These guys, what it looks like to me, they want to corner the market in motorsports in general. Um, this is a huge acquisition. I mean, this is like, you know, signing Kevin Durant, when the Nets, were able to get him or whatever. It's like, it's that big, in my opinion, for especially for us as the NASCAR community who has been disappointed for so long. This to me is huge. And I'm curious to know, I'm sure some of you guys have experienced R Factor 2, and you've played it, and you have experience with it. I'm curious to know what you think of it. How are the physics? How is the AI? Um, how immersive is that game? I'm curious to know because I don't have the experience with it. For me personally, I have one other thing that I'm kind of excited about, and I got my fingers crossed. Uh, I have a motion simulator, and it's a D box based system. They have a limited list of games that are compatible, but they are mostly simulator games. I'm really hoping that D box picks up this next NASCAR game because it'll be closer to sim. It's not going to be a full blown sim, but Paul Coleman made it sound like they're leaning in that direction. Plus, these guys at Studio 397, they don't make arcade stuff. They've been hardcore sim all along. So what I think is they're gonna let these guys kind of do their thing, and then when possible, they're gonna add little things here, uh, tune things here where it's more more of an acceptable experience for even casual gamers, right? So it's not something that's gonna be so far out there, but the direction they're going, you can't really ask for more than that. So what do you guys think? Are you as excited as I am? I look forward to your comments. Later.